What's up, guys? My name is Corey Barrier. I am the sales CEO. And so this is going to be an interesting conversation because I don't know that I've ever really talked about this part of my journey, this part of my life before, in this respect, so to speak. Um, but what I realized today was, you know, I earned the title of convicted felon in 2005. And I'm going to tell you something. It was really hard trying to find a job after getting that conviction. It was also hard because I didn't graduate college. And so all that's really important because of the next part, right? Um, if you're a felon, if you are an ex convict, if you are, if you've got misdemeanors, right? What I'm about to tell you, I'm not suggesting that you do this, but I'm just going to tell you what I did. Like, I got really tired of being turned down for jobs. I got really tired of hitting brick walls, and it felt like every single day was a different kind of brick wall. And so eventually, I just lied on the application, right? I mean, and I'm not proud of that, but I'm just going to tell you that's exactly what I did. Now, I'll also tell you that as time went on, after, I don't know, 30, 60 days, I told my boss, I'm like, look, dude, I got to let you know this. This is what happened. This is what, I just need you to, I need to become clean. And, and he was totally cool. Now, I don't know if that would be the situation for everybody. In fact, I'd be willing to bet most of the time you'd probably get fired for that. But here's how I was seeing it at the time. I had nothing to lose, right? I had absolutely nothing to lose because I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job because I was a felon. And it said, scheduled to trafficking cocaine on it. Sounds like I'm, you know, uh, a kingpin drug dealer czar person, but I wasn't that at all. I just got caught, right? And it is what it is. And I'm not saying that I was in the right because I certainly wasn't. But at the end of the day, it's actually one of the better things that happened to me. In fact, I'm actually pretty great. I'm actually very grateful now I think about it that I'm extremely grateful because guess what, dude? I may not be here today. I probably wouldn't be here today. I mean, I could tell you stories about how, for example, I'll just give you one story. There was one time I was living out in Las Vegas and I'd been up for 7 days. 7 fucking days. Like, that's ridiculous. And I remember my mom calling me on that seventh day when I hadn't slept. And I think I had just fallen asleep when I answered the phone. But when she answered, I said, "Hey, I'm in town," which was, literally across the country. I said, "I'm in town, but I don't have time to talk to you. I won't have time to see you, but I'll call you tomorrow." And that was it. And I left her hanging, right? Which was just absolutely awful. I can't imagine what was going through her brain when I said all that, right? I mean, God, that would be like the worst call for anybody, I would imagine. And I remember none of it. Like, I remember speaking to her, but I didn't remember saying all that. But that's what she said. Anyway, my point is like, look, if you just got out of prison or if you've got a felony, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm sitting here in front of you as successful and success. And look, I built it on having to lie on that application. But guess what, dude? If I hadn't have done that, I definitely wouldn't be as far in life as I currently am. And I'm okay with that, right? I try my best not to lie if I can, if I can help it. And I certainly don't blatantly lie like that anymore. But at the time, I had nothing to lose. Like, I was, dude, fresh. Stopped drinking. Like it was just all. It was all I could do, really, just to keep it together. To be honest with you. Um, but I share that story with you because I want, if you are either in prison or you've been in prison and you're having a hard time getting a position, there is, I promise you, there is hope, and you may have to cut some corners. Like I'm not going to I'm not going to tell you not to cut corners. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't lie on your application. I mean, ultimately, I would prefer you not lie on your application. But guess what? If you're like I was, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you don't have anything to lose, right? And that was me, and I didn't have anything to lose. And fortunately, fortunately, I actually made a pretty good career out of that job. In fact, I was hired as a sales rep, of course, and realized very quickly that the trainers were making all the money. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm already selling their training. All they have to do is fulfill it. So why don't I just get my training certificate and fulfill it myself? And so I did. I mean, there's a lot more to the story than that. Well, actually, I should probably tell you that part. I actually was asked to be the fitness director at a different facility. Now, at the time, I didn't even have my training certificate. But what I did have is the ability to sell the shit out of anything you put in front of me. And look, if you're an ex-convict or if you have a felony, you can get into sales and make a fuck ton of money. But you've got to actually put in the work. You're not going to have somebody knock on your door and offer you a goddamn sales position. You need to get off your ass and go apply for them. And if you have to fucking lie to get in the door, lie to get in the door. And if you get fired, just know that's a consequence. And it could be. And most likely it will be. But at least you'll have an opportunity to get in the door. And again, I don't live by this anymore. But I'm telling you, if you were in my spot, which I'm sure you are if you're still watching this, dude, do what you got to do, right? Do what you got to do. But look, you got one chance. But you have one chance to make a difference. And you have one chance to change the direction of your life. Don't fuck it up. You don't want to mess up an opportunity that could change your life just like it did for me. And I'm going to tell you right now, I went from that job, right, where I became a master personal trainer. I was literally the number one salesperson in that company for the whole time I worked there, 5+ years, except for 2 months. Why? Because I know how to sell, right? I know how to observe. I know how to look at people. I know how to do research. I know how to find the valuable customer pain points. And so here's the crazy part, right? If you're watching this and you're a felon or you're an ex-convict, which means you probably are a felon, guess what, dude? You're one of the smartest people I know. Not because of the mistakes that you made. It's just that we are really resourceful people and extremely smart. Criminals most criminals are smarter than anybody that you know. Why? Because they have had to fend for themselves typically. And not to mention, if they've been in prison, you absolutely have to fend for yourself, right? And so the real world shouldn't seem like anything after you get out of prison. I mean, that's what I would think anyway. And one of my best friends, he spent a lot of time in prison. And he was just like, dude, like out here, nobody can get me. In there, it's a whole different story. And so and that's another thing. You got to change your mindset. You're not in prison anymore. You're not that drug dealer anymore. You're not that guy that stole the car, right? You've changed. You're a different person. So you got to show up like a different person. You can't just say I'm a different person. You got to fucking show people you're a different person. If you're not willing to do that, then guess what? You're probably not willing to get the job. And you're probably not willing to change your life. And guess what? Your ass is probably going to wind up right back where you started, which is in prison. I mean, look, you all know the system is rigged, right? I mean, once you get into that system, it's really freaking hard to get out of it. And I don't know all the ins and outs to it. I just know that it's really odd that most of the time when people go in for the first time, they continue to go in repeatedly. Now, there's got to be a correlation to that. It's not just because, all the bad people just want to go out and commit crimes. I don't believe that. I don't believe that people want to commit crimes. I believe some people do. I believe some people will commit crimes no matter what. Some people, just like the homeless people, right? People that sleep under a bridge. They'd rather sleep under a bridge than be in a controlled environment. And that is, at this point in our career, in our life, that's okay, right? That is a-okay if you want to live under a fucking bridge. It is a-okay if you want to live in a trash can. It is a-okay if you want to live or do whatever you want, because we live in America. And America, as it stands right now, we have freedom. Now, I don't think it's heading that way, but we'll see. We're not getting into that right now. So the whole point here is this. Look, if you're struggling to find something, if you're struggling to find a job because of your criminal history, if you're struggling to find your place in life, and if it feels like your only place in life is in jail or in prison, then maybe that's where you need to be. But I have a feeling there's a bigger opportunity for you. I don't believe you believe that you should be in prison. Now, that may be the easiest route for you to take, but it's not the most responsible. And I'm going to tell you something. It's also irresponsible for you to do it to yourself. Because, look, we've all made mistakes. We haven't always been caught, but we've all made mistakes. And nobody's faulting you for that mistake. But here's what you can do. If you want to turn the shit around and you want to actually be a successful human being like myself, you got to change your attitude. You got to change the way you think. You got to change the people that you fucking hang out with. Right? You're not in prison anymore. Stop acting like it. Stop talking like it. Don't be that guy. And so, look, model after other people. Not your boys in prison, but model after people that you look up to, right? And if you look up to a criminal, then maybe that's not the best choice. But let's just say you're normal or half-ass normal. You do want to be better. You want to make more money. You probably want to do the right thing. You just don't know how. And I get that. There have been many, many, many times in my life that I didn't know what the fuck to do. There have been many times in my life that I second-guessed everything. There have been many times in my life that I fifth-guessed everything. You ask my wife sometimes if I go to the store for a red ball and all they have is red balls, I want a blue one. And they're out of blue ones. So we go back and get a blue one, and now they got nothing but blue and no fucking red. But I want a red one. Like, this is just kind of how I do. I don't know why that is, but I'm guessing because I've made some mistakes in my life. I've made some bad decisions, but guess what? Those decisions have created the person in front of you today. The decisions that I've made have made me the person that I am today. If I hadn't have smoked crystal meth with a bunch of junkies in Vegas, I wouldn't have learned that there's a universal key for every Saturn on the planet. I also wouldn't have learned that, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be like those guys. They're probably still there. They're probably in prison right now. I'm sure they are, right? Because they'd only been out for months and they were just committing crimes left and right. And I was right in the middle of it. And thank God I got out before, everything got crazy, but it was close. And since we're on the Vegas conversation, I would be doing you a disservice by not telling you this story. So Buckle up because this is going to be a good one. So I'm from Mayberry, right? Mount Airy, North Carolina, Mayberry, the original Mayberry. And I'm sitting now. I want you to just imagine this for a second. I want you just to shut your eyes and think, not if you're driving, but just imagine for a moment. This kid, I was preppy, right? I probably had a fucking polo shirt on. And I'm sitting on a couch with a guy on my left named Stormy, like Stormy Daniels, Stormy, and a guy on my right named Ed, right? And they were both tatted head to toe. Now, Ed and Stormy knew each other from a maximum security prison. So, there you go. That's how these two clowns knew each other. And so Mayberry Boy is sitting in the middle of these two, and the television's on, right? I don't even know what the hell it was, but the 5 o'clock news came on because it was 5 o'clock. And we were all high as fuck, with crystal meth and whatever. So you're already a little bit jumpy. And I'm not even kidding you. I swear on my mother's life, I'm sitting on that couch, already uncomfortable, and these two guys' fucking face pop up on the goddamn news. And I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, oh my God, you are literally getting ready to die. And it was the weirdest thing, because what happened is nothing. Nothing happened. Like, they didn't mention it. I didn't mention it. And essentially, I left there unharmed. Well, actually, they left first. And after they left, the guy that I did know, he was like, look, I don't know how they didn't just like destroy you. He was like, you're like a witness at this point. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that in Malphie. He's like, trust me, I know. He's like, they must like you, because if that would have been anybody else, they'd have killed your ass. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, I've never even been around people like this. Because I'm from Mayberry, dude. We don't have crazy convicts running all over Mayberry. But I will tell you that, that opened my eyes, dude. That opened my eyes to what was going on. And then I brought up the Saturn thing earlier, but this guy, Stormy, had a key that literally would fit any Saturn on the planet. It was the most bizarre shit I've ever seen in my life. And so that's why I say, like, if you're like, people that get out of prison are resourceful as shit. And if you're a felon and you just got your felony, you got to overcome that at the beginning, or you're going to have to lie about it and overcome it whenever they find out. But one way or the other, you're going to have to overcome it. So if you take the route I took, which was I rolled the dice and said, well, if they figure it out, I'll just, I'll admit it. But I didn't. I went ahead and admitted it to them, or to my boss. And at that point, I was valuable enough to the company that he wasn't about to let me go. And so he did appreciate me telling him, naturally. But I thought I would just share this today, because I think it's vitally important to anybody out there that is a convicted felon. Anybody out there that's struggling because you have something on your record. Look, sales is the best place for you. You're already probably a great salesperson. Like I said before, most people that come out of prison are great salespeople, because they got to sell their asses off, maybe literally or figuratively, in prison to make sure they don't get killed, right? You got to make sure that you're on top of it. And I can't even imagine what that feels like. Like, I've never been in a sales position that made me feel like if I didn't sell the product or service, I was going to die, right? And that's kind of like every day in prisons, from what I understand. So, again, if you're a felon, look, there is hope for you. I promise you, there's hope for you. I have been successful, just, in spite of that, right? In spite of the fact that that I got caught trafficking cocaine. And you know what? I don't even worry about that shit anymore. I don't even think about it anymore because it's not me, right? I don't have to attach myself to that stupid ass story. Now, is it in my past? Yeah, of course. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because maybe it'll resonate. Maybe it'll hit home with you, because it needs to. If you're struggling right now because of this, I promise you, you got to put your sales ability to the test. Go out and go to a car lot. Go wherever you can go and get a sales job. I promise you, you're going to be more successful in that than you are anything else. And it may lead, just like it did for me, to opening my own business, several of them. Now, I'll also tell you that one of them absolutely failed miserably. That's a lie. Two of them. Two of them failed miserably because I shouldn't have been in the space. But, it is what it is. I guess what? I've learned a ton from that experience. And you're going to learn a ton from your experience, even if it's selling couches at the local couch market. I don't know. You get the point. Like, it doesn't really fucking matter what you're doing or what you're selling. You just need to do it. You just need to do it because you're going to get better at it. You're going to get better at whatever you're doing every single day. You're going to get better if you want to get better. If you don't want to get better, stay right where the fuck you are. Right? I mean, nobody's making you do anything. Nobody made me do anything. But my aspirations and my goals are much bigger than fucking not having a driver's license and being drunk all the time. Like that. Who wants that? Like, maybe you do. I don't know. I hope not. Surely to God, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if that's what you would do, because we don't talk about craziness like that. But, I lived a really interesting life. And, look, it wasn't all bad. It was a lot of fun. But that part of my life is over. That chapter's closed. And, I can successfully say, I haven't had a drink in over 12 years. Now, I don't know if that matters to you or not, but, I mean, you're talking to somebody that's done it. I've gone from felon to entrepreneur. I've started businesses. I've failed at businesses. But guess what? Every fucking day I get better. Every day you're going to get better. But you got to put one foot in front of the other one. You got to push and make sure that you do what you got to do on your end, right? Somebody's not just going to give it to you. That's not how this works. Now, that's how a lot of you think it works, but it doesn't work that way. If you want something in life, you got to fucking go after it. You got to get after it. You got to make it happen. Nobody's going to do it for you. I mean, and I'm not saying that everything in life has got to be so hard and challenging, but if you're just newly sober or you're just getting out of prison, it is going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be hard. Look at fucking Ryan Stewman. Dude got out of prison, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago. And God knows what that fucking guy's worth. Right? I mean, who knows? He's just like you and me. Right? I mean, he's got the same history. He made some mistakes. But guess what? He doesn't stay there. He doesn't live in that. And I don't either. But guess what? I don't forget about it either. And neither does he. You can rest assured of that. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you want to get better, then there's resources out there. There's resources that'll help you get better. You just got to trust somebody enough to pull the trigger. No pun intended. And folks, that's all I'm going to have for this podcast today. And just thought I would, share that with you because I think it's really important. And I think that if you are the person that I'm speaking about, if you are, if you're struggling right now, sales is the best place for you. If you have any sales ability about you whatsoever, you can get a sales job pretty much anywhere. And they'll pay you a lot of money to do it. So use what you got, right? You've got enough skills. I'm sure of it. If you're capable of listening to this podcast, you have the skills to go out and make big shit happen for you. I've done it. Ryan Stewman's done it. Sean Whalen's done it. I mean, like, a lot of guys have done it. So what makes you think that you can't do it? Right? I'll tell you what makes you think you can't do it is you. You think you can't do it, so therefore, you've written it off. Oh, fuck it. I'll just screw that up too. Now, stop thinking that way. Stop speaking that way. Stop acting that way. You're not the same person that you were yesterday. You're not even the same person you were 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 6 years ago. I mean, look at the evolution, for God's sakes. If you told me 10 years ago I'd be sitting here right now talking to you, I'd have said you're a liar. If you would have told me the house that we live in, the cars that we drive, and the business that we have, I'd say you're full of shit. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew one way or the other I was going to win. I just didn't know how. Right? And that's great and all. But you got to know how. You got to know how to get there. You can't just win for no reason. You also got to understand why you want to win. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Why do you want to win? Is it just to buy like cool shit? Is it to make a difference in other people's lives? Is it to, buy a yacht? Is it to feed hungry families? What is it? What's the reason? What makes you want to get into sales? What makes you want to get into anything that you're doing? Because these questions are questions you got to ask yourself. So I don't know if all of that made any sense whatsoever. Hopefully it did. And if you got something out of this today, I'd like for you to share it out. If you got something, I mean, if I touched anything and you enjoyed this today, share it out. We'll see you guys next time.